they'll be on their way. Good evening. I would like to call the business meeting of the Portland Board of Public Education to order. It is Tuesday, October 17th, 2017, and the Portland Board of Public Education is meeting at City Hall and Council Chambers. May I please ask the superintendent to call the roll?
Yes, Madam Chair. Ms. Seeliger?
Here.
Ms. Vendel? Ms. Davis? Ms. Thompson? Ms. Morioni?
Here.
Mr. Eder?
Here.
Mr. Rodriguez?
Presente.
Donato?
Here.
Ms. Farah?
Here.
Ms. Yuri? Mr. Sweeney? And Chair Trevorrow.
Here. And Ms. Davis, Ms. Vendel, and Ms. Thompson are actually here. I believe they will be joining us in just a minute. Would everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I just wanted to briefly report that we did have a board self-assessment workshop just prior to this meeting. That is the first in a series that we're going to be having at the beginning of our business meetings going forward, with the goals of doing some self-evaluation for the board going forward. I also wanted to report that on October 5th, we had an event where we launched the Portland Promise at the Unum campus. Several board members were there. I know Ms. Davis, Ms. Thompson, Mr. Rodriguez were all there. And we had speakers that included Joe Foley, who was the senior vice president at Unum, myself, Superintendent Botana, and Grace Valenzuela. And of course, we had our student reps, Christina Donato and Sahar LaFera, as the MCs for the event. It went very well. It was very well received, and it was a lot of fun. And we are all so excited about the Portland Promise and the rollout. We also had a photo opportunity just before this board meeting out in the middle of the street on Congress Street. You'll see there's a banner hanging across the street, so we got a good shot with all of us standing in front of that. The other thing I just wanted to note for our board members and for the public, to mark your calendars for November 20th. That is the day that we'll be doing the State of the Schools address during the council meeting that night, which I believe is scheduled for 5:30. And that concludes the chair's report. Moving on to report of the students. We have Deering High School, Ms. Farah.
Hello. I don't want to say not much is happening at Deering, but in the few times I've reported so far, homecoming has just happened, PSATs for the sophomore and junior class, as well as an interesting, I don't know if it's new to our school, but our seniors participated in a financial literacy fair. And it's very interactive for them to go down to the gym, have different organizations set up. I think they had a budget at the beginning of the fair, and at the end, see if they balanced it well, how much debt are they. And I think that was very interesting for our seniors to do, and very eye-opening in what they need to improve on. And currently we are commencing in parent-teacher conferences. And also, our GSA would like to note that we have our first unisex bathroom at Deering High School. It was formerly a faculty bathroom, and I think that's very important in our school community. And that is all.
That's great. Thank you, Ms. Farah. Report of the superintendent.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I too would like to thank all of our friends and supporters that came out on October 5th to help launch the Portland Public Schools Portland Promise campaign. We had over 100 community leaders and school leaders join us on that beautiful fall evening at Unum. This evening, as you heard from Chair Terraro, we also formally unveiled the banners on Congress Street, across the street here from City Hall. And this past weekend, I personally received a postcard in the mail, so I'm hopeful that all of you did as well, as all of our postal patrons here in Portland. The postcard is designed to remind the public about the work of the district, and it directs them to our new Portland Promise microsite, which features all of our graduate videos. The microsite will be ongoing home for our updated materials and reports on our progress. And I would like to obviously thank Grace Valenzuela and her team for their hard work in organizing and launching the campaign. One of the key strategies for the Portland Promise is to increase our parent engagement. A key element of that is the development of our parent university. The university will provide timely information and training for parents on the district and how to best support their children's learning. Our formal launch is scheduled for November 4th at 1 p.m. We're thrilled to welcome noted Columbia University professor and researcher Amy Stewart Wells. Professor Wells is the incoming president of the American Educational Research Association. Her work is focused on diversity in schools and communities, and her findings indicate that exposure to diverse students is valuable for both minority and non-minority students. As you know, part of the Portland Promise value proposition is that the Portland Public Schools are the most diverse district in the state, and one of the few places where parents can fulfill the promise in Dr. Wells' research. She'll be talking with us about her research and ways in which exposure to diverse student populations works for all of our students. So I hope we will have a great turnout for that event. We look forward to ongoing support for our families over the coming months through the Portland Public Schools Parent University. And I would also like to announce that we had the first meeting of the Parent Engagement Advisory Council this past week. This group resulted, as you may know, from the board's approval of the parent engagement policy last spring, and I look forward to working with this group to shape our parent engagement work. The location of the Parent University event is to be determined. That's why it was not in. That's why it was not in my remarks. So it's a secret, and when we know, we'll let you know as well. Finally, this week is National School Bus Safety Week. Every day, more than 30 buses and vans transport thousands of our students to learn safely. During this week, we also celebrate School Bus Driver Appreciation. Our bus drivers are the first representative of the school district many of our children and family members see each day. They're often also the last district representative they see. We have resourceful and deeply committed drivers and assistants on our buses. I've seen them go out of their way day in and day out to make the ride to and from school safe, timely, and a wonderful experience. I often tell people that I've done most jobs in education except for driving buses. It strikes me as a daunting assignment that does not receive the recognition that it deserves. I'm so very grateful for our team of drivers, monitors, and the gifted administrative support team in our district's transportation department. That's my report.
Thank you. Report of the Secretary. Consideration and action to approve the meeting minutes of September 19th, 2017. Is there a motion? Ms. Morioni, seconded by Ms. Bendel. Are there any questions on the motion? Seeing none. Is there any public comment on the minutes? Seeing none, is there any board discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor of approving the meeting minutes of September 19th, 2017, please indicate. It's unanimous with the students voting in the affirmative. In consideration and action to approve the meeting minutes of October 3rd, 2017, is there a motion? Ms. Davis, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez. Any questions on those meeting minutes? Seeing none, is there any public comment on the meeting minutes? Seeing none, any board discussion? And seeing none, I would call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the meeting minutes of October 3rd, 2017, please indicate. It's unanimous with the students voting in the affirmative. Moving into report of the committees. Curriculum, Ms. Morioni.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just going to report, which is already in our packet, but October 23rd, Tuesday, October 23rd at 6 o'clock, we'll be continuing our discussion with the Curriculum Committee. Thank you.
Thank you. Operations, Ms. Davis.
Our next meeting is tomorrow at 6 p.m., and I know that in the agenda that was passed out, it said Tuesday, October 18th, and it's Wednesday, October 18th at 6 p.m. at Central Office, and we'll be continuing our work on CIP and Sebago Technic's work.
Can I just add that we also will be meeting on the following week on the 24th. So we have 2 meetings back to back because we are in the process of submitting our initial CIP recommendations. So.
Finance, Ms. Vendel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Finance Committee will meet next on Tuesday, October 24th at 7:30 at Central Office. I also wanted to give an update that we had a joint Finance Committee meeting between the school board representatives and our counterparts on the City Council. The City Council, the City Finance Committee took action on our request for the supplemental budget, and they unanimously approved it. They had very positive feedback to our staff for the process that they went through to bring this information to them. And we look forward to seeing that through to the final, the City Council vote sometime in November 6th. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Vendel. Ms. Seeliger, Policy, Legislative, and Public Affairs.
The next Policy Public Affairs meeting is tentatively scheduled for October 31st, 6 p.m. at Casco Bay.
Thank you. Are there any other committee and/or member concerns? Ms. Thompson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The Appointments Committee has met three times so far, and if you recall, we're meeting to develop a plan to form an ad hoc committee for the delivery of redistricting of the areas under the Hall Elementary and East End Community School boundaries, with a proposed ad hoc committee membership with names populated along with project scope that will come forward in November for your approval. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other committee and/or member concerns? Seeing none, we'll move into consent items. Would the superintendent please read the items into consent?
Yes, Madam Chair. Paths received the following donations: a tub, faucets, a boiler with controls, a threading machine, PEX tubing, and bathroom sinks from Garrett Pillsbury Plumbing and Heating of Kennebunk. The establishment of the BMG Memorial Scholarship by the Grant family of Hollis Center. This scholarship is given to further students' education in the automotive field, and auto parts for the automotive class from LKQ Corporation of Gorham. Lincoln Middle School received 10 backpacks filled with school supplies from Corley Sherman of East Boothbay. Lincoln Middle School also received 1 yard of loam for their school gardens from Garbage to Garden of Portland. East End Elementary School received 100 backpacks filled with school supplies, 3 cases of paper, and other assorted supplies from Barry Dunn of Portland. East End Elementary School also received backpacks from NCJW Southern Maine section of Falmouth. And Ocean Avenue Elementary School received school supplies from the Westin Hotel of Portland. Thank you very much to all of those organizations for contributing to our schools.
And there is no old business this evening. Moving into new business, we have consideration and action to allocate funds for professional development for the National School Board Association Conference not to exceed $14,000. Is there a motion? Ms. Thompson, seconded by Ms. Seeliger. Would the superintendent like to speak to the motion?
Yes, NSBA, the National School Boards Association, is a organization that advocates for equity and excellence in public education through school board leadership. Their members comprise 49 state school board associations, which represent more than 90,000 local school board members. As a member, NSBA offers training and other services to help support school board members in their work, as well as policy writing, legal matters, insurance, superintendent searches, and other issues. Each year, NSBA holds an annual conference for its school board members, and this year's quote, Be Extraordinary, end quote, conference is being held in San Antonio, Texas, and highlights inspirational individuals who made extraordinary contributions to society. The conference is 2.5 days from Saturday, April 7th through Monday, April 9th, and includes full day or half day sessions, your choice of 2-hour educational series sessions, experiential learning visits, as well as meal events. The $14,000 amount projected is based on the estimated cost for 4 school board members who have expressed interest in this conference.
Are there any questions? Seeing none, is there any public comment on this motion? Seeing none, is there any board discussion? Ms. Thompson.
I would just add, myself and Ms. Morioni last year went to the National School Board Conference in Denver, and we really, I think, being there became reinvigorated and really met some people across the country with new ideas that we brought back to the board. And in recap, so I'm thankful that we have this opportunity, and thankful that that many more people are available to go, because I think that there's so much information that's untapped that we have access to at this conference. Thank you.
Ms. Morioni.
Just want to also say thank you very much to the board for considering this action. I think it's one of the many ways that we can show our commitment to our work by learning from other districts around the country. It's always been very educational and important for us to learn from other districts, and amazingly, a lot of the other districts, their entire school board and superintendent go to these across the country. So I'm pleased that we can fund at least 4 people to attend this spring. Thank you.
Any other comments? Ms. Vendel.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I just would like to say that what I found really helpful this year, following the trip to the NSBA conference in Denver by Ms. Thompson and Ms. Morioni, was the report backs from the sessions that you attended and references to the materials that you brought back. And what I will continue to reiterate every time we are going through this governance workshop session is that, you know, the basis for this came from the materials that you brought to us to help us with this work. So I see deeply in the value of this trip, but I also would like more opportunities for us to share back on what was learned in the future.
Ms. Davis.
I would like if the board, I think that it can be very valuable to go, but it is an expense and a significant one. It's essentially just under, per person, it's just under what I pay in taxes for the year. So I think that we might want to look at a board at how we use it strategically and how we think ahead and plan ahead, because oftentimes it takes travel and a commitment in terms of work and other stuff. So lining that up and thinking about it well in advance. I'm not sure we'll ever get to a point where we send the whole board, but perhaps making sure that we send and have as many people on the board, and we think strategically about that as being part of the board experience, maybe in the second year of a new board member's service, that we sort of set an expectation so that people begin to plan ahead. We know the School Board Association knows where it's having its conferences out quite a number of years. So for us to sort of start having that same kind of plan so that people can factor it into their personal and work lives and not have it be sort of a little, we've come to it last minute, I think, in the last few years, and that's been great because we have sent people and we've gone. But maybe getting a little more planful about it would be really good. So I'm glad that people will be going.
Thank you.
Great.
Any other comments? Seeing none, I would call for a vote. All those in favor of allocating funds for professional development for the National School Board Association Conference not to exceed $14,000, please indicate. It's unanimous with the students voting in the affirmative. And that brings us to personnel. Consideration and action to approve the personnel items listed. Is there a motion? Ms. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Rodriguez. And these are the election of probationary teachers effective 10/30/17. Would the superintendent like to speak to the motion?
So we have one individual on the agenda this week, somebody who is filling a vacant occupational therapist position, and this is a position that was assumed in the budget, so asking for your consideration.
Are there any questions on the motion? Seeing none, there is no public comment where it is a personnel item. Is there any board discussion? Seeing none, I will call for a vote. All those in favor of approving the personnel items listed, please indicate. It's unanimous with the students in the affirmative.
Can I just add something very quickly? I would like to formally introduce Stephen Stelfin, our new Director of Facilities and Maintenance. Steve, can you stand so that everybody knows who you are? Steve started a couple weeks ago and has been actively engaged in helping us to address the mold issues at Reike and Longfellow. He's jumped right into the fray, and I'm extremely happy that he is here and has joined our team. As I mentioned when I introduced him a couple of weeks ago, when formally brought him to the agenda, Steve comes to us from Kittery School District. Before that, he worked as an engineer on merchant ships for over 20 years, and he was also the facilities director at Piper Shores in Scarborough. Steve has deep roots in Portland with two brothers that work in the Portland Public Schools, and he has himself coached Deering High School football in the past. So, Steve, it's great to have you on board and look forward to working with you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here and look forward to servicing the community, students, faculty, and citizens of Portland.
Well, welcome. Okay, that moves us to, we don't have board focus on educational issues tonight, so that brings us to public comment. Where it is before the hour of 10 o'clock, we would take public comment on any items not on this evening's agenda. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, I will close public comment. And before we adjourn, I would just note that we will be having a workshop tonight immediately following the business meeting on the Bayside Learning Community. With that, I would call for a motion for adjournment. Ms. Thompson, seconded by Mr. Eder. All those in favor? It's unanimous with the students voting in the affirmative. We're adjourned.